Good morning, everybody. It is 6:43. Welcome back to Great Day for this Wednesday. It is July the 1st, and you know for a fact it is a great day to grow it. That's the reason we have Chuck Renes from Renes Greenhouse in the studio with us to give you some tips on how to get things growing a little better.
We didn't know you grew cakes. We appreciate it very much, though.
Well, that's the missus, and happy birthday to you, Jason.
I wish you could smell this stuff.
You know, I'd also like to point out that I had a birthday not too long ago. I had a Hy-Vee cake. Those are homemade, so I don't know what that means, but yeah, there you go.
Okay.
What are you going to do?
There you go.
See where you rank, huh?
Yeah, but yeah, things are looking good. I was out at Ray's the other day, took him his last batch of cantaloupe, and his tomatoes 3-4 foot tall, a lot of nice big tomatoes sitting on, and we're a lot further ahead than we was last year. And I did happen to. I looked at one of the shows I did last year at this time, and last year at this time we was talking about setting the high, like on this day last year was 67.
No.
It was the coldest high we've ever had for this date.
Oh, wow.
And that was right at this time of year, you know, the first part of July. And so that's one reason things are doing so much better. It's just been so much warmer and nicer.
Well, that's good then.
Now, after last week, I imagine a lot of people maybe are worried about too much water on some of their plants. Is there any advice you can give, ways to tell what to do?
Well, you know, that's a question. I mean, that's definitely, but you know, things in the ground, there's just not much you can do about.
Right.
But you know, hanging baskets and stuff, you know, and I think this is one of the biggest misconceptions that people have. The hanging baskets I have out there, you know, the big purple wave baskets, even when we're getting those 2- and 4-inch rains, I still water them every day.
Now, Chuck, we have a couple of them here. I want to go to the surface, Eric, if you can, for a second. Now, explain this to me. We have two different varieties here.
Right.
The ones on the left, those are the petunias?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Those seem to hold water a little better than the ones on the right. The ones on the right, what do you call those?
Those are scavola.
They suck water up like it's a desert.
They drink a lot of water. And I've had a lot of people bring those back and say that they're just not doing well, but they do take a lot of water, and in the heat and stuff
Do we need to put them in a bigger pot with more dirt or something? Because it seems like even when it rained that much in the morning, we went and checked them in the afternoon, it was dry.
One thing I would suggest that you do, okay, that's a 10-inch pot. If you could get a really big bucket or tub where you can just take that whole thing and submerge the whole thing down in water and just hold it there for a couple minutes. Sometimes if that peat gets too dry, it's hard to wet it again.
Because the water runs off.
Through it?
It just runs right through it. So just submerge that so you really get that thing wet.
Got it.
And that will and then keep
water.
it wet, and that'll help it retain water. But when peat dries out too much, it just doesn't.
Because that's what
it's hard to
you
re-wet.
put the hose up there with the attachment, and for the one on the left, it fills up. It takes a little bit while, and then finally it runs over. That one, it goes for a couple of seconds, and boom,
it just
comes
runs right through. It's just gotten at some point too dry, but
got it.
Or you know, set it on the table and take your hand and literally hold that dirt ball down. Because if you don't, that dirt ball will have a tendency to float right up out of that basket when it gets water in it. Just hold that down and just put the water to it, and it'll wet.
Okay.
But it just needs to wet up again. But once it does that,
I'll stick it in the dog's pool before I empty it.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
There you go.
That'll work.
There you
Yeah,
go.
no, I'm having the same issue. Like mine's very green, but the flowers are kind of going away.
Yes.
And I imagine that's saying something.
Same difference, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's dry, or is that fertilizer?
No, well, it's a little bit of both, but it's mainly dry.
Okay.
You know, I mean, plants will thrive without fertilizer. They won't perform as well, but they got to have that water.
Right.
They got to have that.
It's amazing that Jack stuff that you sell, even 3 hours later, how much better the plants look.
Well, I'll tell you, you know, I got to get some purple wave, some pictures of those purple waves, but they're further ahead than they've ever been, and they're just within, you know, they're hanging up here, and they're within 4 or 5 inches of touching the ground already. And I can usually make them touch the ground by the end of the season, but they're. Matter of fact, I noticed yesterday when I was out watering them and the guy had mowed, he kind of mowed a couple of them off a little bit. So
this game of trim.
Yeah. Well, them guys that mow, you know, they just know how to
take care of it.
Don't get in their way because they know how to mow.
All right, no, we know that you have friends, and we were just talking about this a little bit earlier. We know you have friends in the sweet corn industry, and I wanted you to know what the word is from the sweet corn fields.
The word is, I was out yesterday or the day before and took his last load, like I say, of cantaloupe and tomatoes. Probably not going to make the 4th of July. but going to make next week easy. He said probably Wednesday or Thursday the trucks will be out. I mean, it's coming on and it's right there, but we need this heat. And I mean, when he sends his trucks out, he needs to pick. He don't just pick a few ears, 8 or 10,000 dozen. So
right.
It's got to be worth doing it.
Yeah.
It sounds like there's only a couple places that will have it available this weekend, and even those places, it's not a lot.
Right. And I mean, we just, it was the crops was in early, and that was all good to get 4th of July corn. But we just had so much cool weather early on. And but this warm weather, everything's growing now, and that's another thing with your hot peppers. 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was having a really hard time getting that pepper to set. They was making the blooms,
right?
But those blooms was not sticking on the plant. They was falling off.
Oh, they were.
They would just, and I mean, you could just touch them and they fell off, and I couldn't figure out what it was. So I kind of went online and did that. I was always under the impression that the hotter the weather was, the hotter those peppers would be. So I thought I would keep them in the greenhouse, where it really got toasty. But they're just like a tomato. After it gets up above 90 degrees, they just don't set that pepper. So I put them outside, and those little those Carolina Reapers are literally going to have 100 peppers on it at a time.
Really?
I mean, they're just absolutely amazing how many peppers.
Think of all the pain they will cause.
Yes. And I've got peppers, and I don't know anything about them, so I really don't know how big that pepper is when they finish. But I've got peppers out there as big as your thumb. So
how do you know when they're ready to go?
Well, they turn red, I guess.
You get a nibble on them and see if...
I'm going to bring them down and let you nibble on them.
Yeah, because ours are just starting to, they're just starting to take off now. They're just starting to grow. There they are in the garden. They're just starting to grow.
Yeah, but they're coming along nicely.
They've grown about 4 inches in the past week or so.
Yeah, like I say, this hot, humid weather at night and everything, that's so good for that stuff, and that's what we want on.
And they're just getting the little flowers that you mentioned too, so we should be able to start seeing.
And again, mine were, yours was out there in the cool for quite a few weeks, whereas mine's been in the greenhouse. That's why mine's further ahead. But
got it.
But you need to start researching what you're supposed to drink and stuff when you eat that stuff, because I think we're only going to be a couple weeks away from those being ready to go.
We're doing it, and we already have people on Facebook and on Twitter sending messages, want to know when we're going to have that. So you just give me a heads up so we can give everybody a heads up.
We will. It'll be a little, but it's I'm going to say the middle of July or.
We had some local guys in from a company called Tres Mentes that locally makes salsa, excellent salsa. And Lou was talking to him after the show, trying to talk him into doing a Carolina Reaper special edition.
And they said they would. Here's their card.
Well, and to be honest with you, I've got 3 of those plants, and I'm telling you, there's going to be some serious peppers on those.
No, they said that they'll help us. Philip and Angelo said that they'll help us, and they'll help us create some sauces. We'll have some custom Carolina Reaper salsa.
There you go. There you go.
Spread the pain.
Yeah,
that'll be good.
That'll be good. But
all right, now your establishment, when are you open so people can go?
Well, we have kind of changed our hours because, like I say, we was anticipating the road being closed this year, so we kind of did things a little bit differently. But we will be opened Friday, and then we're going to be closed Saturday for the 4th, obviously. But from here on in, we're going to only be open Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Okay, Wednesday through Saturday.
Yeah, Wednesday through Saturday from 9 to 5. So that'll still give people plenty of time to get out there. We'll be out there all the time because we're obviously watering the mums.
Tend the plants and stuff.
Watering the mums and stuff, and we're only a week or so away from poinsettias, so we'll have plenty to do. But like I say, our what we grew for the summer was limited with the anticipation of the road being closed. So.
And what about for the holiday weekend?
Friday, and then that's that. We'll be closed Saturday and Sunday.
Okay. Yeah, perfect.
Yep, but
we're going to be here Friday on tape.
Well, maybe I'll get an old show on here. We'll see. I'll have to watch it and see what happens.
All right.
Sounds great. Well, thank you, sir.
Okay, you bet.
Happy 4th of July.
Happy birthday, Jason. Happy 4th of July.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for
Thank you, Joyce.
cake.
It is 6:52. We'll be right back. You're watching Great Day Live on KCW.